Hello and welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be shifting our focus to the back end. That means we're going to be shifting our focus towards implementing functionality on the server side. So first, we're going to be looking at how to create a Node.js server. Our end goal is going to be to implement the server to our Nodes application. But first, we're going to see a basic example to see how Node.js servers actually work. So we're going to create a new folder and we're going to call it Nodejs Server. Next, we're going to open our terminal and we're going to navigate to this folder. And in here, we're going to run the command that is going to create our Node.js server, which is npm init. So it's going to ask us for the package name. We're going to call it backend. It's going to ask us for a version. We're going to use the default value. In order to use the default value, we can simply press enter. Description, we're going to leave it empty. Entry point, index.js, that is what we want. So we're going to press enter. We're going to leave test command empty. We're going to leave git repository empty. Keywords, we're also going to leave it empty. Author, you can put in your name. I'm going to put in my name. And we can press enter. And the license, we're going to use the default value. So we're going to press enter. Finally, it's going to ask us for confirmation. We can press enter again. And now our Node.js server has been created. So if we look at our folder inside Node.js server, we can see that a new file has been created, which is package.json. Now we can open this file. We can see that it has all the information that we gave it when we created the server. In here, we're going to add a new shortcut. If you remember, to add shortcuts, we need to access the script's key and we're going to add a new value. We're going to call it start and we're going to give it the value of node index.js. So we're going to be using the shortcut to start our server. Now we need to actually create the index.js file, which is the entry point of our server. So we're going to create a new file and we're going to call it index.js. In here, we're simply going to console.log hello world just to see how it works. So we're going to have hello world and we're going to save our file. Now we can open our terminal and navigate to this folder. And in here, if we run npm start, since we added the shortcut, and press enter, we can see that hello world gets printed in the console. Now we're going to change our application to a web server. And in order to do that, we need to edit the index.js file. So the first thing we need to do is import a library called HTTP. Now, the import syntax we saw before is going to be a bit different from this one. So in this case, we're going to have const followed by HTTP. Then we're going to have the require function and we're going to pass in HTTP. Now, whenever you see this statement, it is the same as an import statement. So in this case, we're importing the HTTP library. So this library provides functionalities for creating HTTP servers and making different HTTP requests. So next, we're going to define a variable called app and we're going to use http.createServer, which is going to take in a function, and this function is going to have a request and a response. So the create server method is used to create an HTTP server. As I said before, it takes in a function, and this function is going to be executed whenever a client makes an HTTP request to the server. So in here, we're going to have response. So we want to control what the server response is going to be. So we're going to have response.writeHead, and we're going to pass in 200, and we're going to give it a content type, which is going to be an object. So it's going to have a key value pair, and the value is going to be text/plain. So what this line does is it sets the response status code to 200, which means the response was successful. It also sets the content type to text/plain. So this indicates that our response is going to be a plain text. We actually saw what content type was in the first video of this playlist, so you can go back and watch that video. And finally, we want to end our response. So we're going to have response.end, and we're going to pass in a message, which is going to be a plain text. So it's going to be hello world. So what this line does is it sets the text hello world as the body of our response, and it ends the response. Next, we need to define our port. So we've seen what port number is in previous videos. So we're going to define a variable called port, and we're going to give it 3001, which is going to be where our server is going to run. And we're going to finally have app.listen, and we're going to pass in the port. So what this line does is it instructs the server to listen to a specific port. So in our case, it's going to listen to the port number 3001. And once our server is started, it will be able to handle incoming HTTP requests on that port. So we can save our file and open the terminal. And we're going to navigate to our folder. And to start our server, we're going to use the shortcut npm start. And once our server has started, we're going to open our browser. As you can see, using the port number 3001, we get the text hello world. Now, instead of simply responding with hello world, we're actually going to change our response to a list of notes. So in our code, we're going to define a list, which I'll be putting in the description below so you can copy and paste it. So it's simply going to be a list of notes. So each note is going to be represented by an object, and it's going to have an ID, it's going to have a content, and it's going to have an importance. So in our server, we're going to change a couple of things. The first thing we need to change is the content type. It's not going to be text/plain. It's going to be application/JSON, since we're going to be responding with a list of notes that are going to be in JSON format. And in response end, we're going to replace hello world with our notes. But if we simply do this, our browser won't be able to understand our notes object. Instead, we need to convert our notes into JSON. And in order to do that, we have a function, which is json.stringify. And it's going to take in our notes. So what json.stringify is going to do is it's going to change our notes list into JSON. So now we can save our file. In order to see the different changes, we actually need to restart our server. So we're going to open the terminal and we're going to end our previous server using Ctrl+C. And we're going to run it again. And now we're going to head over to the browser. As you can see, we get our list of notes. So this has been a lesson on implementing servers using the HTTP module. Thank you for watching this video, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel to show your support.